good. The idea was we'll just collect business cards. Someone asked about where do I start with these interviews. Just collect business cards. The idea was we'd take the cards, then we'd ring them up afterwards and then go visit the factory. Then I realised, that's a lot of work to go and visit the factory. So I think I would go to the second expo. Oh, let's see if we can take their card, but at the same time, oh, while we're there, let's try and do the interview. And then it just snowballed from there. Okay. So at the end of going to about 3 expos in 2010, we had 54 interviews. And then I thought, oh, we've got to have more people. So I trained more people, and last year we did nearly 600, nearly over 500. So just snowboard. So you just got to do something big if you really believe in something. Let's, before I start, are there any questions? Anything on the course? Anything on the administration assessment? Is there anything you would like more clarity on? No? Do you have clarity? Yes. Okay, how many fingers do you see? 3, right? I see 3. You see how many? 3, yes, okay. So you have clarity, great. I like it when I play that game on the students. So here we have the Balanced Scorecard. What I wanted to say is we want to do 2 things. Remember, we're in the last quarter of the 1, 2, 3, 4 I'm talking about, because now we're looking at Balanced Scorecard. I want you to get a feeling for what it's like to think about what a system is. Can we just do that? And so, this is chipset, and we're going to come back to chipset. This is this scorecard magnified for your visual, okay? And that's what a scorecard strategy map looks like. And a strategy map is something getting close to systems thinking. Is there some connection between if we order on time, we get more customer satisfaction? If we have on-time delivery, we get more satisfaction. If we respond to customer service requests, we get more satisfaction. Is there some kind of linkage there? Did you know consultants have done studies in S&P 500 companies of using the Balanced Scorecard? Those that use a scorecard plus they use analytics, that is, they use the measurement, they might use some statistics to understand relationships between the measures. Those companies that test their relationships, so the relationship between the measurement of order delivery time and customer satisfaction. Of course, they're measuring this, they're measuring this. So over time, you have a time series measure of 2 things happening. You can put that into a statistics model and test for that relationship. You with me? Yes? How many of you have done statistics? Okay, so that's why statistics are important. You don't just learn statistics to say that you're a university graduate, okay? You learn statistics because companies are using analytics to understand relationships, like in the scorecard here. If we can understand relationships, then we can better have an idea of the system. Maybe order delivery time has a stronger relationship to satisfaction than service response time. Well then, if we want to improve customer satisfaction, then we need to spend more time on fixing this area here than this area here. You see what I mean? Okay, yes?
So the chipset get the research relationship for their own company, or is it specific for the industry?
You can try and, you try and do it for your own company, not for the industry.
But if you
just work on your own. What matters is the model that you think exists, which is the strategy map. This is a model that you think exists. Okay? All right, day 1, I bring you all in. We're going to start a Balanced Scorecard. I'll get you to brainstorm and think about what do you think all the relations look like. No statistics, no data. Day 1. Okay, but day 365, you've probably got some data because you've been operating for 365 days, and hopefully you've measured customer satisfaction more than once, right? Hopefully you've measured all of these more than once, and by the second year and third year, hopefully you've got some data to say, well, hang on, this model that we think exists in our company, does it really exist in the statistics analysis? So you don't need industry data to test. You just work on your own.
But if you have the industry data, if you have the industry relationship research, then you can start with that, right?
Yeah, okay. The industry data may give you an idea of what is working, what is not. But that only helps you become an average in the industry. It doesn't help you become a leader in the industry. Because industry data is really lots of averages. Okay? And unless you pay more money, you get the best practice of the top 10% in industry. And a lot of industries you know which those companies are. Okay? All right. So let's have a look at any more questions on that? This is a strategy map. So I'll work with executives in developing a strategy map for their company. And so we'll just get them to think about, well, what do you think goes with what goes with what? And this is what we mean by systems thinking. What do you think your model looks like? What do you think causes customer satisfaction to go high or low? Do customers care about delivery, or do they care about price? Or do they care about after-sale service? They care about all, but what do they care about the most? And so you develop a strategy map based on just brainstorming, not analytics to begin with, brainstorming. Okay? Then you get analytics later after you start operating. Yes?
Well, there's the relationship between the two items.
Yes.
Change over time.
Yes.
So that the company has to kind of retest, to revalue the correlation between the two.
Absolutely. Correct.
Strategy.
Correct. Yes.
So that they have to do like annually or like 3 times?
Quarterly is better.
Quarterly.
Definitely. They have to do it you have to do these things regularly. Okay? So you need sophisticated systems in place, or you actually outsource it to consultants to do that for you. Okay? There are consultants that do that. So your learning of statistics is not wasted. Okay? I want you to feel proud that you learned statistics. Put your hand up if you're proud now that you learned statistics. Great. Okay, good. All right. So now you know the shower example. I love the shower. Why? Because everyone in this room has a shower, I know. So therefore, you know the idea about the hot and cold. And for some showers, now we've got the fancy showers. Now you dial up the temperature so you don't have to worry. The system is automatic, okay? All right, but most companies do not have an automatic system in terms of satisfying the customer. All right, there's always a delay. Customers don't tell you everything, and sometimes the view of some customers is, I'm not going to tell you anything, that's free consulting for you. Okay, that's the view in some parts of the world. Whereas in other parts of the world, they'll just give feedback whenever they can. And that's good for companies to get that feedback, all right? That feedback is you working out, is it hot or cold, and then you change the settings. The faster you get that feedback, the faster you get in the shower and have a wash, right? Well, now here's your chance to develop your system, okay? Here we have, this is real. This is real. How many of you had lunch today? Okay, remember, pay attention for a moment. I'm going to teach you 2 things now. Number 1 is content. Number 2, how do you present? How do you present effectively when you're doing your case study? All right, so what did I say to you on Tuesday? Interaction is so important. How do you interact with people? Ask a... Okay, so now let me show you how do you ask questions, all right? Okay? How many of you went to the Four Seasons Hotel today to have lunch? All right? I got no response because I made the question so narrow. Okay, you with me? All right? So it's better for me to ask, okay, how many of you had lunch today? Hands up. Okay, so now I've got some interaction going, okay? All right, then I can go one step further. Okay, how many of you went to delightful Maxims for lunch? Okay, I got half of you. Some of you went there. How many of you went to the other end of the university for lunch? How many of you went off campus for lunch? None of you, okay? All right, see, I start with a broad question, then you narrow it down. Now, I want you to think of Maxims. They try very hard, okay? Let's not blame them for the food, all right? They're trying their best. I know the manager there, he works so hard. I always scold him anyway, but he's a very nice guy. All right? This is Maxims here. This is an example of Maxims. We have a strategy map I want you to put together. We have customer buying behaviour. That is, you going back to Maxims, ordering lunch. Profitability, employee satisfaction, employee added value. How many of you, when you go to Maxims, you were served by the wonderful people at the counter, front counter, and with a big smile? Okay, some of you know, good. You all know Kat there, and you all know Polly, and you all know all the Maxims people, right? Yes. Yeah, you hope to, all right? Okay, and if you go down to counter 5, and there's others down there. All right, customer satisfaction, section and staffing. What I want you to do, which do you think comes first, second, third, or fourth on your strategy map now? This is a practical thing I want you to think about now. I've given you just 6 things, very simple. Okay, which do you think, what is the sequence of those 6 items? Very simple. What is the sequence? What comes first, second, third, and fourth? Have a guess. You don't have to get perfect. And if I'm working with a group of executives and doing a strategy map, it's not about perfection. It's about getting agreement. Agreement is more important than what is right, what is wrong. Agreement as to what you think comes first, second, third, fourth, fifth. All right? So what do you think? Let me help you. We have selection and staffing, employee satisfaction, employee added value. Do you think that comes first, second, third? Let's have a look. What do you think comes first? You've got to select the people. Okay, so the manager of Maxims has to select the chef. He has to select the people to go out the front, then the people at the counters at the back. You've got to select them. All right? What do you do after you select the staff? Quick. We're doing a strategy map here. This is systems thinking. You're thinking what comes first, second, third, fourth.
Customer buying behavior.
Customer buying behavior, maybe, or employee satisfaction, employee added value. Hands up if you think satisfaction comes before added value. Hands up. Hands up if you think added value comes before satisfaction. You see? It could be one way, it could be the other. It doesn't matter. It's what you think causes what first. Okay? So there's our first 3. Selection, staff, employee satisfaction, employee added value. It's important that employees are satisfied. So how do they satisfy them? Give them pay, give them flexibility, give them time off, give them certainty of employment. Okay? The people that work in Maxims and those type of areas are looking for certainty in employment. Certainty, not necessarily variety. Are you with me? Okay? So they have certainty that they'll get paid and they're not going to get laid off when the economy goes up and down. Okay? All right, what about the last 3? What comes next? Customer satisfaction, then buying behaviour, it's the same profitability. You see? If customers are satisfied, then it's going to change their behaviour. How many of you are satisfied but when you had your lovely meal, your delightful meal at Maxims? Hands up. Some of you are satisfied. Hands up if you're not satisfied. And then if you're not satisfied, are you going to go back to Maxims again? Only if you have to, because you've got 50 minutes between the class at 12:30 and the next class at 2 o'clock, and you've got to walk another half kilometre up and down the mountain to another part of the university. So you go to Maxims not because you're satisfied, but because it's convenient. But now that changes the reason why you go. You with me? Okay? So you go through these conversations when you're trying to build a strategy map. This is how you execute the balanced scorecard. It's very important to do this first before you worry about what measures should we use. So Maxims come to me and they say, oh, we want you, Neil, to design a customer survey so we can give our customers. Well, I'd like to go through and talk about these things first. Okay? Do they believe, how much do they believe customer satisfaction is important, or customer satisfaction on what dimension is important to them? For the university, it may be different than compared to Maxims downtown, which is next to other competitors like Fairwood, Cafe de Coral, McDonald's, KFC and things like that. How many of you would like McDonald's next to Maxims in Hong Kong U? Put your hand up. Oh, no hands. Okay, let's move on. Yes, yeah.
Well, from this example, I was just wondering if companies should think of prioritizing variables that are less likely to change. Like customer buying behavior, it changes because of the reason you go. So
Yes.
that's quite volatile. But your employee satisfaction, that can be sort of controlled.
That's a very good point. That's a very good question. The question is, maybe the company should focus on those measures that, more emphasis on those measures that don't change, that measure those attributes that don't change as much. And you mentioned a key word, control. Very interesting. Companies have control over internal processes, learning, growth, employees. They don't have control over customers or the accounting, except earnings management. Okay, but that's another issue. Okay, they have control over two, but not the other two. So you're right, in some ways you should at least get this right. Okay, and try their best to understand this. Okay, so actually a very good point. Pima?
The buying behavior and satisfactions are quite related. You don't know which comes first, so how do you decide which comes first?
I know that may be a statistical question, but definitely you want to understand which element of satisfaction is related to buying behaviour. So in the university, it may be time, it may be convenience that's associated with buying behaviour. In Central, it may be the aesthetics of the environment where people eat. So people go to Maxims not because they have different food from Fairwood, but maybe the seats are better or the location is better. So it's different. Okay, so it's a matter of horses for courses. Different firms, different markets. It depends where you are. Okay, so keep that in mind. Different aspects of customer satisfaction can affect buying behaviour depending on the environment where you're competing.
I was asking because a lot of companies look at customer buying behavior to find out target customer and then figure out the customer satisfaction of that target customer.
Oh yeah, they're trying to predict ahead, but you're talking about a design of a sophisticated product where you really got to invest a lot in that. That's a very good question. So the question asked by Pima is, what about, we work out target cost, then what buying is needed, then what satisfaction comes after that. When you talk about target costing, you're talking about the importance of trying to control a huge capital investment in the development of a new product. So you really want to reduce any operational or market risk associated with the future sale of a product. So that's why you look forward to understand what are customers looking for in attributes so that they will buy it, and then you work backwards to the target cost associated with each of those attributes. Okay, so your question is good, but it's more appropriate for large products that require a lot of investment in the design, like cars, like new smartphones. Okay, let's keep going. Yes?
Are these the only processes and outcomes, or are there more possible ones which we have not discussed?
Are these new this is a strategy map.
For fast food, yeah, but it looks like... Okay, never mind.
Okay, what what I've showed you here is a very simple version of a strategy map. If I gave you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then look, customer satisfaction, employee added value may be associated with buying behaviour as well as customer satisfaction. You see? All right? But I just asked you, look, sequentially, what do you think comes first, second, third? It's a starting point. Then you start to build in more arrows. You build it up. Okay? This is a way of developing consensus. Why do you want to do that? Because now you want to think of measures to go with each of those. If you believe those 6 items are relevant, employee satisfaction, employee added value, customer satisfaction, buying behaviour, selection, staffing, profitability. If you believe those 6 things are important, well then let's find measures for them. But don't do that until you've worked out if you really believe that one leads to the next, leads to the next, leads to the next. Okay? Because once you start measuring it, it makes each of them even more important. Okay? Measurement brings added visibility to whatever you're measuring. Added visibility. So here's the measures that go with selection and staffing. Here are the measures that could go with satisfaction. Here are the measures that could go with employee added value. And you can fill that in your exercise. Okay? And there we have satisfaction, buying behaviour, and sustained profitability. See the steps? Basically, what you've done now is built a scorecard for maxims. But your scorecard did not start with measures. That we think, oh, balanced scorecard, oh, lots of measures. But it doesn't start with that. It starts with a strategy map. But before, more than that, it starts with strategy. So strategy, then the strategy map, which is the sequence of objectives that you think occur in delivering business value. And then finally the measures come in. Now I use SMS because you all know what SMS is. Strategy, systems thinking, measures. But the sequence is strategy, systems thinking, measures. All right, SSM. Okay, but you all forget that. So that's why just SMS is okay. All right, have you all got that? You've got the linkage? Just put a number beside these rather than have to write them all in. All done with that? Hands up if you're not finished. You need 10 more seconds. Okay. Okay. Just put a number. So frequency, retention, referral, customer buying behaviour, each outlet over time, better than competition, sustained profitability. The final part of today's lecture. I want to skip over. You've already done Centra software. Congratulations. Remember, we're focusing on measurement and strategy. I just give you a primer on systems thinking. Next week we spend a little bit more time on it. Okay? Systems thinking mean I'm asking you to think about what comes first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Okay? You all know the Centra software. Congratulations on those that won the game. And I've given you the PowerPoint slides. I want you to skip over to the last and final part of today's talk. Remember, what is today about? It's about strategy, number 1. It's about execution strategy, number 2. It's about balanced scorecard. One way, one approach a lot of organisations use to systemise and formalise their strategy. And number 3, no, that's number 3. Number 4 is what performance measures are used. What performance measures are used? And we're just focusing on the financial in chipsets example. And this has potential to be very confusing, and I don't want it to be, and I want to show you. There's a lot of calculations to have you. Please circle this slide. This is critical. This slide is critical. We're now up to learning objective number. It did too. You're very observant. Thank you. All right, so we're at number 4 here, okay? Remember, 1, 2, 3, 4. I won't have time to go through the last 2 learning objectives. We just want to go through chipsets only, and then we finish. Okay? So we finish chipset example. Here's the deal. This is all we're doing. If chipset is cost leadership or product differentiation?
Cost leadership.
Yes, it is. All right? So we're really interested in growth measures and productivity. We're talking about the accounting, not customer, not internal, not learning and growth, just the accounting part of the balanced scorecard. So we're interested in growth and productivity. If chipset decided, like HCC, to go to product differentiation, then they're going to focus more on price. Then they're going to be interested in the price point. They're going to be interested in, can we get extra price from our products? Here is the deal, and okay, what are the 2 areas we're focusing on for chipset? Price, growth, or cost? Growth and cost, not price. Right? Let me remind you, growth, productivity. Productivity is sort of a cost improve. Okay. Productivity is the antecedent to cost. Okay? I employ you so much per month. If you can work twice as hard, then you cost half as much. Okay, so productivity, just think it's output divided by input. Okay? Right. After this slide, please circle this slide. After this slide, you have you have many slides, formulas. Okay? And then the formulas are going to say it's unfavourable, favourable, there's a calculation. I want to give you a shortcut. There are 2 things. Whenever you look at formulas, there are 2 things. One is the magnitude of the variance, and the other is what? Sign of the variance. What you want to do is you want to focus on the sign first as much as you can to get comfortable with any variance you look at. So for example, for chipset, we're looking at growth variances first. And there are 3 areas. Please circle the first column, 1 million and 1,150,000 revenue. That is the revenue driver of growth. Yes? Please circle the second one, that is 3 million and 2,900,000. Okay? That is a revenue, that is a direct materials effect of the growth. That is going to be useful in growth. And number 3, please circle the fixed cost side. This is the direct material cost side. Please circle the fixed cost side. Say number of employees, 40 and 39. And the processing capacity. Because it went down, then there was no more investment in fixed cost. Okay, without doing any calculations at all, there are 3 major growth variances. The first one is the revenue effect on growth. You sold more. So do you think the variance is positive or negative? You sold more, so the revenue effect of growth is what? Positive. Great. Number 1, positive. So put a plus here. Positive. Number 2, you sold more and it have caused you to expend more money on direct materials. You sold more, you had to spend more money on direct materials at the proportion of the growth. The growth is 15%, you had to spend more money on this. We're not talking about productivity improvement, we're talking about the growth effect. So the growth effect of cost is positive or negative? Negative. Okay? The growth effect of revenue is positive, the growth effect of cost is negative. Right? It always costs you more when you're growing. Everything else being equal. Right? So don't confuse that with productivity. Okay? All right, we're just looking at growth effects. And the third growth effect is in the fixed costs.